This is episode 101 of the Art of the Minds podcast. I'm Sean Oakley.
And I'm Sam Cooper, and here we are with a droid swarm and some other ships.
Yes, so Sam is getting some practice in for the Welsh Open, which, as this episode drops, we will be travelling to. So mightily looking forward to that. So what have you brought, Sam?
All right, so I have brought a whacking great big hyena and gunship swarm. Unfortunately, it's only 7 ships. So we have DGS 047 in the HMP gunship with Kraken and repulsor lift stabilizers. DGS 286 in the gunship with Discord missiles, probe droids, and repulsor lift stabilizers. 2 Bactoid prototypes with homing missiles and energy shell charges. 2 Techno Union bombers with plasma torpedoes, munitions failsafe, and landing struts. And the Bactoid prototypes have landing struts too. And the Iron Assembler with a energy shell and munitions failsafe.
Oh, yeah.
Just as that. It's Kraken and shells and plasma.
Just realised for people watching on YouTube, the Iron Assembler isn't actually on the overlay. Whoops. Never mind. He's down there. Yeah, and so I know you were thinking between this and another list for the Welsh Open.
Yeah,
and
this experiment was having the probe droids on the gunship over having thread tracers on the Bactoid prototypes, because I was like, I need to get the locks for the tubs somehow. And so this is way one. Let's see how feasible it is.
And so to that extent, we were like trying to work out, what's a good test? What are we going to see a lot of? And the likelihood is Rebels, because Rebels are doing very well at the moment.
Yeah.
And so to that extent, I've basically stolen fellow team members Chris Burnett's list, which he's been doing exceedingly well with. And I've tweaked it slightly in one upgrade. But apart from that, it's pretty much his list. So I am flying classic Biston Han with Truckshop, Scepter Co-Pilot, Biston and Title. Boy Luke. Wedge in the A-Wing, and the one difference I've changed is Chris runs him with Marksmanship and Crackshot, but I've opted to run him with Marksmanship and Predator. My hope being that if you line up the bullseye multiple times, you get more value out of Predator.
Yeah.
Sabine Wren in the TIE Fighter with Beskar reinforced plating. And Hol Oikon, the boy Y-Wing. So, yeah. We are playing Salvage Mission. And I am first player. So, objectives. So, what I think, if I remember rightly,
You placed the bottom one. The very bottom one.
I can't.
Looking at it on the screen.
Oh yeah, because it's my side first, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I place basically as far to my right and as far up as I can, because I don't have the ships to sort of hang around behind. And I know how fast bombers can be. If I leave Sabine sort of down near my edge, away from the rest of the list, those hyenas can jump on her, especially when they can go over rocks.
Yeah.
So that's not a risk worth taking.
Yeah. And so my first one is I place it deep inside my half, basically as close to my board edge as possible, and slightly to my left of the center objective.
Yeah. Now I know what Sam's doing there. Sam's trying to create a nice little cluster. His droid swarm can sit around. So I don't want that. So I place my one on his side, on his left, as far towards my board edge as possible, because that limits the choices of where you can put it. You're only getting a group of 3, or a close group of 3. So
yeah. And so I placed my final one, basically to create a triangle to my left, essentially as close to your initial objective as I can, and relatively close to your end because I can't get it any closer.
So obstacles. And Sam has, of course, brought the 3 Pride of Mandalore rocks. I have brought the 2 Pride of Mandalore large debris and the large Force Awakens rock. And I place the... what is it? I suppose it's the boot-shaped debris, the long one that sticks out a little bit. It's got the largest horizontal reach. In between the centre and the one on the right-hand edge, and the one Sam placed deep in his corner in that sort of triangle to, basically create a nice area where I can get obstructed shots. I don't want them too close to the objectives because I don't want Sam to sit on them. I actually feel I maybe could have centered it a little bit more than that, but it's certainly down towards the right-hand one, which is probably where it favours.
And I think I pick up the other debris, and I basically place it.
No, you don't.
Directly. I don't. Which
I
one do
believe
pick
the
up,
first one you do is the rock.
Oh, the big rock in the top right. Yeah,
Yeah.
so basically, I basically 2 into it in your top right corner.
Yeah.
Because basically my logic here is that I actually want the rocks kind of far away. Because I can land on rocks, and so rocks being around don't matter. But I want as big a channel as possible so that my gunships can fly around freely, my bombers can fly around freely, and I just have more ships. So I just want less stuff to be in the way.
Yeah. So I place. I generally can't remember which one I place next. It's one of your rocks.
I think we can skip over this one quickly.
Sort of, because whichever we'll go through where they are in a minute, but whichever one I placed, I made a mistake here.
Okay.
Because what I should have done is put it as close to the center object. Oh, I know which one I did. I did the one. So I've placed one above as we're looking at it above, as I look at it, to the left of the debris that I placed on your side above the center objective, and I made sure that it was just outside of range 1 of the center objective.
Yeah.
So you couldn't land on it, claim that objective.
Yeah.
That's a mistake. What I should have done is I probably should have picked my last debris, but regardless of which one I picked, I should have actually put it as close to that center objective as possible. And if we go through where they all end up, I'll explain why.
Yeah, because I believe this is when I pick up your big debris, because I'm looking at the rocks thinking like, let's get rid of them. And I essentially 2 into it in your left. So I've now put 1 rock in each of your corners.
Yeah, and we basically end up with 2 lines of 3. Either side of the center objective, basically. And it's a perfect 6 dice face. There's a nice lovely channel down the middle, and that's where I hecked up. If I'd put one in the center, it creates a much larger area where there's going to be an obstructed shot.
Yeah,
it's also easier for hand to be range 1 of an obstacle
of a rock. Yeah,
because wherever you'd put it, it would be close to another objective. You wouldn't have that great big gap down the middle that I should have closed off. But
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's a lesson. We go to placing forces, and we only overlap at I3.
So I basically placed my entire list except for I3. So I put DGS 047, the Kraken carrier, in my very bottom left corner, facing forwards. Then I put the 2. I believe I put the 2 Techno Union bombers, and the 2 back to prototypes in a block of 4 with the tubs in front.
Yep.
Then I put the Iron Assembler towards my right-hand side, facing alongside my board edge, with the pretty obvious idea I'm going to scoot along my board edge, grab my objective, and just try to live for a few turns.
Yeah.
Like
Um,
in this list in this mission, his role is basically just to grab the home objective and hopefully score some points.
yeah.
There is no other thing for him to do.
Um, so Sabine decides she doesn't want any of that, and she sets up on my left, below the left-hand objective, because with where you've placed it, you're not going to place a lone gunship over there. Not when I can set up the rest of my list afterwards. So she can just gun up, pick up that objective, and then be an iron assembler and pootle around for 6 turns collecting a point.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I put my final gunship, 286. He's with the probe droids on the right of my objective. On the right of my big formation, forward as far forward as I can. With that, he's going to basically coast forwards, fire a probe droid, and see if I can set up these locks.
Yeah. Now, here's where I start to make a bit of a mistake. I set up Wedge. In my center, below the closest asteroid, he's going to turn and sort of slowly work his way towards try and get a flank. What I should have done with him is I should have set him up slightly to his left, so that he can go past the left-hand obstacle and just done a 5 straight and shot up that way. Because he could do a 5 straight boost to the left, and then swing round the top obstacle.
Yeah,
to give a much wider flank. Whereas what I've done is I've pegged him into. I mean, he can still 3 hard, but it's so much less distance, and he's got to go through a channel like turn 2 instead of turn 1.
Yeah.
So I should have got him through. The other reason is because I placed Hull on that left-hand position, which is fine because I wanted him to go slowly. I want to make sure that I don't rush in, get the wrong. I need to set my engage on this right. But I will skip past Luke for a second. I heck that up because I set up the Falcon to the left of Hull to go through the same gap as him. Thinking, we'll go through, we'll try and swing past the rocks, get the obstructed shots that he wants. But at some point, I'm going to have to turn right because your entire list is down there. And I've kind of a little bit hamstrung where the Falcon can go because the much slower Y-Wing is in the way.
Yeah.
So having Wedge there, he could have just shot off and left the Falcon behind, which then frees up space for Han. Hull, I think, would have been better just to the right of that centre rock where I set up Luke, and he could have gone in a pair with Luke, and they both just come through that gap.
Yeah, because also if you set up Wedge where Hull is, you threaten the assembler as well.
Well, exactly. That's what I mean. So, like, even if you go fast to come down towards the list, a 5 straight boost, a 3 hard round still threatens, I think.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, if you turn in on Wedge, Luke runs into you and pro-talks you.
Yeah.
So,
but Luke's going to do that anyway, so honestly, is that really a downside?
I mean, I was wary about just running Luke in and pro-torping because you have probe droids.
Yes.
Because I can't stop them. Like, I can't stop the locks on that because you do it end phase.
Yeah, it's end phase and then the next system phase.
Yeah, so I can't. If I get within range 3 of those locks, I cannot stop you getting locks. And you've got plasmas on 2 of your ships, and then shells, and that's not great for Luke. If you get plasmas through, he's just gonna whimper. So I have to be really careful of that. It's not the traditional, I'm I5, you're unlikely to get a lock on me at I1. It's like, no, I cannot stop you getting a lock on me. So the traditional 4 straight attack speed, take a target lock probably doesn't work out too well for me.
I mean, you definitely get your initial protop off.
But then I'm still getting, I'm facing a load of hyenas by myself. And like, if they were vultures, sure. But those 5 health on those hyenas can be hard to chunk through.
Yeah, I guess also, like, and the protop isn't like a guaranteed kill, where it would be on a vulture or like a TIE fighter.
But let's get into the game. And we roll off for first player, and I am first player even for turn 1.
You are turn 1. So yeah, my hyenas all 4 straight calculate. DGS 047 does a 4 straight and calculates. The Iron Assembler, I believe, does a 4 straight and calculates.
Sabine does a pre-activation boost and then does 5 straight and takes an evade.
And then DGS 286 does a 3 straight and I believe takes a calculate. And here is mistake number 1 is I don't know why, but for some reason I just thought, ooh, a 4 straight might take me too close to that debris. It's stupid, I know, because it's just. And so I should have gone the 1 faster that would have helped me get a bit closer. Because in a turn, you will see why it is a problem.
So I do wedge. Sorry, I do Hull, who does the 3 straight and takes a focus. Wedge does a 2 bank and then boosts. And I do a 1 straight with Luke. Because as I said, I was wary about getting in front of that. And actually, in hindsight, so spoilers for turn 2. That 1 straight does keep him just fractionally out of range for the target locks. But it does make him so incredibly predictable. And your list now is in a much closer position.
Yeah.
I think actually the 4 straight boost might have been the better call. Because you can't fire your torps this turn. Most of your shots will be obstructed. And then next turn, I'm presenting you with a 50-50 choice of am I going to continue to blast past you down towards the Iron Assembler and have Wedge go slow and leave a flank? Yeah. Is Wedge going to shoot off? Luke's going to do a 1 straight. You have to pick which one you think is going to do what. Pick which one. It's giving you more choices. Yeah. And I think that actually might have been better. But hey. And then the Falcon does a 2 straight and focuses, and I should have done at least a 3 here to get some distance past Hull. But I wasn't sure if you were going to gun down your edge or hard turn and got the board edge and then turn back in. So
yeah, that's fair.
I had to play a little conservative.
Yeah, so I keep 3 calculates, 1 on DGS 047 and 2 on the Techno Union Bombers, and then I launch a probe droid out the front using a 3 bank. And we go on to turn 2.
Go on to turn 2. And we roll off. And your first player.
Yeah, so I believe I 2 bank my thing, like basically towards the center, and I think this was just this was me trying to get too many choices, because I sent it towards the center to try and get as many of your ships as possible, but really my target here is Luke, because he is the juicy target that's right there.
Yeah.
And had I 2 banked it towards Luke, I think I would have got you.
Yeah, definitely, because we check and he is only just out.
Yeah. So I start going, and my first Technology Bomber does a 2 bank to the right, and then I barrel roll to the left and link it into a target lock. And so we check range 3 from the thing, and basically I have Wedge, Hull, and Han in range of the probe droid, and just Wedge in range of the bomber itself. So I target lock Wedge. If you're for some reason going slow or turning in, eat plasmas, I guess. The second Techno Union Bomber, 2 banks onto the debris cloud and takes a target lock. This I believe I put the lock onto Wedge again.
No, you lock.
No. This one goes onto Hull, and because I check range from my guy, because I like maybe somehow he's got Luke in range, because that's who I wanted, but he doesn't. The first Bactoid prototype does a 2 bank and calculates, and the second Bactoid prototype does a 2 bank and unfortunately bumps into my Techno Union Bomber on the debris. I really thought it was just going to fit, but it is what it is.
I mean, it's close enough that it almost looks parallel, so it is one of those those close ones.
But either way, I flip the struts and I don't take damage. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Then DGS 047 does, I believe this is a 3 straight, and I just pick up the box on this side. His job is to hold a box and do whatever. The Iron Assembler does a 2 straight and picks up my home box. And then DGS 286, because I flipped the wings last round because I knew I was going to have to side slip around this debris, and so I side slip a 2 bank to the right, which means I go left, and I'm now basically lined up behind all my bombers as if I'd done a 2 bank behind them, which is quite nice.
Yeah.
And I take a target lock onto Wedge.
So Sabine does a 1 hard into the centre and picks up the box. Wedge does a 5 straight because I'm not wanting to sit there with all these target locks on. I am range 1 of a couple of ships. A boost gets me out of one of the range 1s. So what I'm looking at here is whether I boost straight or I boost to the right because it gets a little bit more distance. It gets me arc on the Iron Assembler because I'm thinking focus into a boost. It removes the range 1 shot from blue. It removes... maybe it dodges brown, but if not, it's probably a range 2 obstructed. But in hindsight, I genuinely wonder whether a barrel roll to the left and a boost away might have been a better call.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because there's a good chance that gets me out of everyone.
Yeah. Maybe pink, like my back prototype still has you in arc, but that's about it.
Yeah.
And that's a maybe. That's a maybe. I clip the back corner.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't know. It's a difficult one because it does mean that I'm not getting a shot with him this round, and
but that's not the end of the world. I feel
no. But I suppose it's weighing up the odds, isn't it? But that hasn't occurred to me while we're playing, so I'm looking at the boost forwards, and I opt for the focus into a boost right, I believe, which does swing me range 1 into pink, gets me a shot on the Iron Assembler, and does take me out of blue's arc. Hull does a 1 straight because I can't get into range 1. So I need to try and hang back and actually not get range. And also I want to sweep the Falcon past.
Yeah.
So I just take... I reach for the centre crate and I am out by...
a couple
of millimetres. It's close. But no cigar. Luke does a 1 straight because, again, because I hadn't gone fast that first turn, I have no choice but to take the range 3 here and hope that I can do some damage with the Torp. I reach for a lock and I have blue at range 3. Then Han does a 3... Sorry.
And this is where me not committing to getting locks on Luke is a backfire, because when you checked your arc, you have range 3 on both of my plasma bombs.
Yeah.
So had I not sent my probe droid into the center of the board, this could have been really dangerous for you.
Yeah. So Han does a 3 bank, which plonks him nicely in front of Hull. But it swung me around a little further than I thought it does. It always does with large bases. So it means I don't actually have anyone in arc at the moment. So I have an option between boosting, which will get someone in arc, but then I'm not double tapping. Same with the rotate. Or I could focus and hunger up and accept I'm not having a shot this turn. One thing I actually should have done was probably picked up the centre crate.
Yeah.
Like, I'm reasonably confident I'm range 1 of a rock. So I'd get a reroll on defense. I think the likelihood is I'm only taking 2 shots.
I guess what you were thinking at the time is like you want to be able to boost with the Falcon, so picking up a crate is not usually considered an option.
And here's me, I'm going to argue about it for quite a while. But in the end, I do boost. Red boost because no engine upgrade. I overlap the pro droids and roll a focus, so they die. And then we go to shooting. So Han does have a range 2 shot into blue, which he takes. I roll hit crit blank and keep that.
I roll 2 evades.
Luke fires his Protorp into the same target. I roll hit focus blank. I change a hit to a crit. I spend the lock on the blank, which becomes a focus, and I dump both force for 3 hits and a crit.
I roll 1 evade, so hit crit onto blue, which is a direct hit.
So Wedge has a range 1 obstructed onto pink, a range 2 onto DGS 286, or a range 3 into the Vulture. And I believe I opt to go range 2 into the Gunship.
Because I won't be rolling defense dice.
Yeah. I haven't known about it for the while, because I could take the range 1 to pink. I basically knew to the obstruction, so it'd be 3 on 2. But actually, 2 on nothing is better. So
yeah.
I roll hit focus. I elect not to spend, because I think I've got shots coming back in. So just plink the shield off.
So we go to my I-3 gunship, and I have range 2 into Wedge, or range 3 obstructed into hand. Well, there's a bunch of locks on Wedge, so we go for him. I roll hit blank, re-roll 1 of the dice because there's a bunch of locks on Wedge for hit.
I roll 2 evades.
Then we start going through all of my boys. So one of my plasma torpedo bombers has a regular obstructed range 3 shot into Luke. And I roll crit.
So I gain a force back because I became the defender. I roll evade, 2 focuses, and a blank, so I spend that force for 2 evades.
Yep. Then I've got the other plasma torpedo tub. I have the shot onto Hull, so I fire a plasma torp at you because at this point I think I'm taking shots where I can get them, and this is just a good shot. So I roll my 3 dice and I end up with 3 hits.
I roll 1 evade, but plasma basically means I lose 2 shields and a damage.
The Bactoid prototype who bumped onto the rock, I believe, goes for the range 1 into Wedge.
Yep.
I roll blank focus. I check for my calculates left over, and I see I've got more than 3, so I just spend 1 from someone around to get a single hit, because maybe you blank out.
I roll 2 evades.
And the second Bactoid prototype elects to fire a homing missile at Wedge.
Wedge decides to take it.
Yeah, take a damage, because, yeah.
That's
with the Bactoid homing missile option, always take a damage unless you're on the last health.
Yeah,
realistically.
I mean, that's it's kind of a win-win or lose-lose, I suppose. I'm only taking a damage, but you're still plinking damage, so
yeah. Because it's one of those things that, like, chances are, if I just shot at you with a regular attack, not dealing damage, but this, I deal the damage, or I get 4 dice.
Yeah, on a Wedge, that's a quarter of his health, so
yeah.
And that's it. So you score 2 objectives, I score 1.
Yeah, but I did take a whacking great punch from that Protorp.
Yes, you did. And yeah, then I have some interesting choices to make. This is where
so do I, with the Iron Assembler at the very least. The rest of my guys kind of straightforward.
So we roll off turn 3, and I'm first player.
So I remember quickly. Oh wait, second probe droid, and so I just quickly in end phase I launched the probe droid out of the bum of my gunship, because now we're in the engage. There isn't really any benefit to getting a ton of there's no long range locks to get. So I basically stick it out the back so I can just always have lock coverage on where a bunch of your ships are going.
Yeah.
And then in the system phase, I move it towards the center just to make sure I've got everything covered. And I start moving. So the 1 health Technician Bomber 2 straights off the debris and takes a calculate. I barrel roll into a lock onto Luke because heck, if I'm probably going to die. Let's see if Luke can overshoot. The other Technician Bomber does a 2 straight and takes a target lock onto Luke. The Bactoid prototype who bumped on the rock 2 straights off the rock and takes a calculate, I believe.
Yep.
And the other Bactoid prototype 1 straights onto the debris and takes a calculate. DGS 047 does a 3 hard to the right into the center of the board and bumps into the back of my Tech Union bomber again. I'm having a serious problem of judging my
I mean,
moves here.
that is
Apparently,
close as well. He's like again,
yeah,
literally perpendicular. So like, yeah, it's close. It's not like it's a that was miles off wide. I think that would
true,
fit.
but it is still I'm losing actions when I really need them at this point.
But at least he already had a calculate. So
he already had a calculate, and he didn't take any damage, so it is what it is. Then what am I
Iron
doing here?
Assembler.
Yeah, then the iron assembler. So here's the thing. Wedge is barreling down on me, and Han can also barrel down on me. So I'm like, I either wide turn, and I think then Han shoots me, or I tight turn and hope that you misjudge where I'm going. So I did a 1 hard to the right into the center and just take a calculate, and deciding that if you want to kill the iron assembler, you probably can. So let's just aim my arc in your direction. I can't barrel roll, so you know.
Sabine does a 1 hard to the left, basically going in a nice little circle and takes an evade. I actually wonder whether I should have just gingerly 2-straighted her towards the centre and at least threatened. I don't know.
I mean, maybe. I don't think so, though. Like, if I had gotten a better engage and maybe pumped 2 plasma torps into Luke, yes, I think Sabine should have approached here to provide a gun. But in the current situation, you don't need her.
Yeah.
And then my DGS 286 does a 1 straight and flips the stabilizers into side slip mode and calculates.
So, Wedge. Wedge does a 2 bank. It sticks in what I think is range 1 of the Iron Assembler. In bullseye, and I take a focus. And this is a mistake. Because Han is doing a 3 straight, because I think a 1 and a 2 land Han on just on the corner of that debris. I think a 3 straight clears. But I misjudge it, and a 3 straight will bump. So what I should have done here is barrel roll to the left, and then boost it in. Because, yes, I lose the focus, but I still have Predator Marksmanship. You're down to 1 green dice. And more importantly, I'm not bumping Han. So,
yes.
Yeah. But I didn't clock that at the time. So, hold us a 2 hard, because I think, we're at that point. We're likely to get range 1 shots. I take a focus. I trigger precise astromech for the target lock. I check range to see who's at 1, and I lock pink.
Yeah. The irony is, I probably shouldn't have taken pink off the rock, but at the time, I wasn't sure where Han was going, and I wanted to try and block all possible avenues. Because if he went down towards my board edge, I can't stop that. But if he tried to turn in, I thought I could stop that.
Yeah.
But obviously, hindsight is hindsight, and I didn't know that Han wasn't turning in at this point. So, although I am giving you the target lock, and I'm probably signing by Backtoe Prototype's death, I still think doing this is the right choice. Because if I can block Han and stop him from getting too much value, I can do stuff.
That's fine. You don't need to block Han. I'll do that for you. So Luke does a 2 bank. Because I wasn't sure. Like, either you come for Luke, and then a 4 straight doesn't get me out of that. In fact, I think Han blocks a 4 straight anyway.
Yeah.
And any 1 bank I felt puts me on the debris. I could have 1 straighted. But I thought if I go a 2 bank, it swings me. If you've hard turned into the centre to try and either catch Han or Hull, then I scoot past, which is great. If you haven't, I was hoping for a bump on 1 ship, which, neuters that ship. And then I can shoot something else. And basically see where we go. As it is, I land just in front of the blue Techno-Union bomber, which I'm okay with because he's on 1 health, and I feel like I've got a reasonable chance of chipping that one off. So what do I do here in the end? I am about the lock, but I am likely taking a lot of shots, so I think I just opt for the focus in the end. And then Han does a 3 straight. It does bump into Wedge. It does catch the debris.
And you are on the debris as
on
well.
on the
which
debris.
is-
I think the 3 straight would have cleared, but yeah,
It would have been close.
it would have been
no
close.
matter what.
So there's us checking to try and work it out. It is close. I obviously lose the stress, gain the stress, roll for damage. Don't take the crit, but more importantly, hand's not shooting.
Yes. And then you roll for damage from bumping into wedge, you don't take any damage.
And I roll from, yeah. So we go straight to Luke, because no hand. And he range ones into blue. He rolls hit, focus. I spend 1 force, because I only need 3.
Yeah. And I roll 2 evades, which means if you hadn't spent the force, I'd have lived.
I mean, I was always going to spend a force or the focus,
Yeah.
but I thought there's no point wasting the focus.
Yeah.
Because I'll get the force back if you shoot me, so that's 1 down. Then we go to my falls. And wedge goes into the iron assembler. It is range 1. I roll hit blank. I predator into a hit, and then marksmanship for hit crit.
I roll my single evade dice, and I get a focus, and I spend my calculate for an evade, so I just take crit. Which does drop the box.
It does drop the box. And I can't remember what the crit was, because you're not on the overlay.
I feel like it was direct hit.
It might have been direct hit, yeah. So we go to Hull, who does have an APT into pink. He rolls hit, focus, blank. So changes the hit to a crit, re-rolls the blanks with a target lock, spends the focus for 3 hits and 2 crits.
And I roll my 2 defense dice, and I get focus blank, so I spend my calculate for 1 evade, and I take 2 hits, 2 crits.
So I'm looking for a fuel leak on the first one or a direct, and I think 1 is a direct.
Yeah, 1 is I think 1 is a fuel leak, and then the second crit.
Fair.
Yeah, I think. I'm not sure. Either way, no, it looks like it was direct hit based on off the overlay.
So 5 damage through, and goodbye pink.
Yeah, and I've lost 2 bombers and done not a whole lot in return. So we go to DGS 286, and I think I either range 1 into hand because you've got thing, or I think I just go into Luke with the locks here. I can't actually remember exactly who I chose. Looks like I'm going into Luke.
Yeah, because I've gained a force back. You roll hit crit, and
after spending a calculate.
Yeah, I roll 2 evades.
Then DGS 047, range 2s into Luke, and I roll hit crit.
I roll blank evade, so take a shield.
And then I forget to trigger DGS's ability, which I really need to remember. And his ability is, after I shoot, if you're in my front arc, I can acquire a target lock, and if you're in my bullseye, I give you a strain.
Yes.
Then we go to the iron assembler, and I just range 1 into wedge. I get hit, focus blank.
I roll 2 focuses and an evade.
Then we have the remaining Techno Union bomber, range 1 into Luke. I roll blank focus. And I spend the target lock on the 2 blanks. Then I spend my calculate and DGS 047's calculate for 3 hits.
I blank out, so that is a shield and 2 damage.
Alright, gotta love Luke rolling.
Yeah. Should have spent that focus. But hey.
And then I believe my backdoor prototype fires a shell into Luke.
Yes.
And I get blank hit focus, and I spend my calculate for a crit.
I roll evade focus. I spend the focus because it is the last shot for 2 evades.
And so Luke's all good.
So Luke's, well, yes and no. He survived that, but he's only got 2 health left.
True.
So it's not like I can be wasteful with him.
Yeah. And you get a point for... we each get a point for the objective,
We each
because
get a point.
047 is holding an objective.
The issue I have now is Han's in a much worse position in the sense that I can't do a blue maneuver and have, I think, almost any option for staying on the board next turn. So I've got to hard turn, basically. Which is kind of okay because I'm basically hard turning in behind your list. But again, means no focus token for the double tapping.
Yeah.
which I haven't actually got off once yet this game.
Whereas from my perspective, I'm thinking, yeah, this is awkward because I've lost 2 bombers. I've not removed a ship, and yes, I put a lot of damage into Luke, and I've taken the shields off Hull, and I've like put a random damage into Wedge. But it's like, this is yours is the sort of list that I might just not do damage again because you're all high initiative.
The flip side of that is I have spent one of my torps. I have spent the APT, so Hull's not going to have that trick again unless you leave him alone. So, I'm not likely to one-shot another bomber.
That is true.
Speaking of, we look at system phase to see if your bombers are range 2 of me, to try and sneakily get that APT charge back, but they are, so no joy. And you are first player for this turn.
Yes, so the Iron Assembler is in damage limitation mode, and he's going to try and block Han. But first, the Techno Union Bomber. He does a 1 hard to the right and calculates, landing himself just in front of Luke. The Bactoid Prototype, 2 straights off the rock, and I believe I calculate here. The DGS 047 does a stop and flips his stabilizers, and DGS 286, I believe that is a 2-bank side slip to the right, so I end up directly next to 047. I'm just trying to block Luke on one of them so that the other one has a good shot here.
Yep.
And then the Iron Assembler does a 2-bank to the right, trying vaguely to block Han.
Yeah, so we go to...
I calculate.
We go to Sabine, who 1 hards away towards my board edge again. And I actually wonder here whether a K-turn might have been a better call, because unlikely as it is, if I do need to get her in, it's going to take me 3 more rounds, because I'm going to have to hard turn twice before I'm facing centre. Whereas a K-turn, I could have done like a 3 straight and then a bank in.
Yeah.
So I think that's just a better way of keeping my options open, because none of your ships...
I guess actually, now that if I suddenly spike on the dice, and let's say Luke and Hull dies...
Yeah.
Like, not likely, but
possible.
You never know.
Yeah.
Then all of a sudden it's just Wedge and Han versus the rest of my list, and Sabine can't help. And I guess it is just Sabine, and she is scoring points, but...
But I think having the option there, because it in no way compromises her, so...
Yeah,
it's just about keeping options open. Hull does a 1 bank to ditch his stress. He bumps, so he takes a red focus. Wedge does a sloop and takes a stress. And Luke does a 4 straight, because I was just trying to get out of dodge. But unfortunately bumps into DGS 286. And I don't opt for the red focus, because I'm at full force. And then, Han does a 2 hard and stays stressed.
So, start of engagement, DGS 286 tries to launch his buzz droid into Hull, and it's just short, unfortunately. But if it was one of those things, like if I thought I could land it, and if I can, Hull might just die this round.
Yeah. So go to Han, who gets to shoot. And I believe I shoot... I think
you pulled 4 dice.
I think I go...
So you go for the range 3 obstructed.
Yeah, 3 obstructed into brown.
Yeah, my Bactoid Prototype.
I roll hit, crit, focus, blank. I think I opt to hand that and roll it into hit, crit, focus, focus. So the same.
And I roll 2 evades, a focus, and a blank, so I'm good.
Luke takes the range 0 shot and rolls hit, crit.
I roll an evade, so I take a shield onto 286. And then down to 1 shield on that boy.
Wedge's sloop has lined up the bullseye onto the Iron Assembler. It's range 2. I roll hit blank. I predator into a blank, and then marksmanship. So 1 crit.
I roll a blank, so I take a crit, and I believe this is the direct hit that finishes me off. Either way, either way, one of those two crits I took from Wedge was a direct hit.
Yeah.
So I've taken I've taken enough damage, and the unassembler is dead.
And then Hull, I think, opts for the range 2 into DGS 286.
Yeah.
I roll 2 hits.
I roll a focus, so I spend a calculate and lose my last shield. The DGS 286 has range 0 into Luke, range 2 out the side into Han, or range 2 into Hull, and I think I go into Luke. Oh, no, I go to Hull here. I roll crit blank.
I roll a focus, so I spend my focus for an evade.
Then DGS 047 takes the range 1 into Luke, and at that point I'm like, oh, I should have got the target lock last round. I'm an idiot. So I roll hit, focus, blank. I have no mods, so I believe that's it.
I blank out again, so he takes another one.
Yep, Luke down to 1. Then I have a range 0 shot into Hull, and I roll 2 hits.
No, 1 hit.
1 hit, sorry, 1 hit.
I blank out, so I take it. Hull on 4.
And then my range 1 shot into Hull, I roll 3 hits.
I get 1 evade, so he takes another 2, and he is down to 2. Then I score a point, and I think
I score a point. Because 047 is still holding a box.
Yeah, 047. So it's currently 11-4. But Luke's on 1, Hull's on 2. There's 8 points there.
Yeah, like the swing is there. We go into the next round.
Yeah. This is a bit of umming and ahhing about stuff. Because, decisions. And we roll off, and you're first player again.
Yep, so it's my entire list. So I believe my backside prototype does a 2 talon to the right, basically trying to line up myself behind Hull. My Technonian bomber does a 2 bank to the right, going down to face Wedge, and I take a target lock into him. And I know I've got this because the probe droid is right in front of you.
Yeah.
DGS 047 side slips a 2 hard to the put it to the left, so I go right. So I basically slide around over Luke, and I'm now just to Luke's right, and I calculate. And DGS 286 does a stop and flips the stabilizers into side slip mode.
Sabine does another 1 hard, face down towards my board edge, merrily plinking away over there. Wedge does a 2 hard to the right, and overlaps and kills the probe droid. And then so I'm having an argument about whether I pick up the crate or not, and I'm not sure it's range 1. So I opt to focus into a boost, but we just check for information, so I know for next time whether it was range 1. But I perform the focus boost.
Yeah, and it was range 1. And to be honest, I think in the situation you were in, I actually think picking up the box would have been a mistake, because you were staring at a plasma torp, but I think not having a focus is dangerous on an A-wing.
Yeah, no, I agree. Hull attempts a 2 hard to the left, because I was trying to swing past the buzz droid and avoid it. Unfortunately, I bump into the green tub and land on the buzz droids.
So I put it on Hull's back, as that's the only place I can.
And I don't opt for the red focus. I'm guessing because I don't want to be hamstrung next turn, because I'm much closer to that debris. If there is a next turn.
Yeah. Wedge tries a 1 straight, which will bump into GGS 286. But before you do, you take a disarm and
Luke
recover
does a 1
shield,
straight.
I believe. Oh, Luke, sorry. Yeah, Luke.
Yeah, Luke R2D2s takes a disarm and recovers a shield. And I don't. I do a 1 bank, I believe.
1 bank, okay.
Yeah.
And it does clear DGS 286.
And then I take a target lock onto DGS 047.
So I'll admit, I didn't know where Han was going at this point, but I was very surprised you didn't barrel roll to get out of my gunship's arc.
Yeah, I mean... so I believe Han is doing a 2 bank, because it's the only blue bank. And I felt that by staying on the inside, I wasn't sure if it cleared or not, but I felt by staying on the inside guarantees that if it bumps,
It'll bump into me.
it'll bump into you, even if it puts me back on Luke. Whereas barrel rolling out, there's a chance that it ends up both of us.
Yeah, true.
And I need to start getting focuses and double tapping and stuff, so... Yeah, I accept that I've got to take a range 1 shot there, but... I'm going to say this bearing in mind I've already blanked out twice. Statistically, with some force...
Yeah, but, should take 1 damage, I reckon.
And, I've regen that shield. I can go off the next turn and regen another shield, so...
And for other things, like, the person with a lock on you is one of my gunships, not the tub, so it means I can't fire a free homing missile into you from the Bactoid.
So Hatton does do a 2-bank. It does bump into DGS, and I think it would have bumped into Luke as well if he had a barrel rolled.
Definitely would have.
But it doesn't, it's just you. So I take the red double focus with Perceptive Copilot, because now we can start doing some hand stuff. And yeah, so I believe hand does a range 2 obstructed into the green tub.
Yep.
I roll, and then I roll again, and then I think we actually have to check whether I'm range 1 of the debris. But I am, it just clips. I end up with
hit. You end up with hit crit.
I end up with hit crit.
And I roll evade focus blank, and I spend, I think the gunships calculate for 2 evades.
Yeah. So I look for the double tap, and I believe I go range 1 into DGS 047?
Yes, you do.
I roll focus, crit, blank, I spend the focus.
I blank out, so I lose all my shields and drop the crate.
Hull has a range 1 shot into the same gunship, so I take that. I roll hit, focus.
I roll a blank, so I take 2 damage. DGS 047 is on 3.
Wedge. What do I do here? I think
you shoot my gunship.
I think I shoot my gun. So I could have gone range 2 into the tub, which would have given me Predator. But I think DGS is just range 2, so no Predator, but no greens for you.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm umming about. And that's what I do. I roll focus blank, and I spend the focus because I want to plink it through, and I should never have spent this focus.
Yeah, like that was my take on this as well, because I was like, oh, okay, because I've got 2 bombers that can shoot into wedge.
Now, if I'd rolled double focus, I left him on 1.
That's a different thing.
Yeah, but I should not have spent it to plink 1 through.
Yeah. So you plink 1, DGS is on to 2, and so we go to my gunship. So DGS 286 takes the range 1 out his side into Luke. I roll hit crit focus. There is a lock, so I re-roll the focus into a blank. So just hit crit into Luke.
I blank out.
Luke is dead.
Luke dies.
And we are all in a little bit of shock. So then I go to the other gunship and I range 1 into Hull. And I get hit focus.
I roll 1 evade, so he takes 1, which means he's on 1, which means he's dying to the
buzz droid. And then my plasma tub fires a plasma torpedo into wedge. I roll crit focus, and I spend the lock to re-roll the blank. I spend my calculate and the last calculate on DGS 047, I believe, or possibly my second calculate. I can't remember if I had kept one from last round. Either way, I have 2 calculates, and I've spent 2 calculates for hit crit.
I roll focus evade. So effectively, I take 3 hits, which kills wedge. Whereas if I kept the focus, I would have taken nada. So wedge gone.
And then my final bomber just shoots range 3 into Han, and I roll 2 blanks.
So on that turn, I think I was 11-4 ahead. And I was feeling pretty good. And then suddenly I've lost Luke, I've lost Wedge, and I've lost Hull. And I'm now 11-15 behind.
Yeah.
It's like... I've got a full health Han.
Yeah, and this is and
your ships are bleeding,
the interesting thing.
So
yeah,
it's not over, but I didn't make that. I mean, Hull, I think, still did the right thing, and I just have to accept that you played well and blocked me. But Wedge should have never spent that focus.
Yeah. I was very surprised you did, because I was like, has he forgotten I've got a plasma torp, maybe?
Yeah, probably. Never should have spent that. Because I survived that shot. I think Brown had a plasma into him as well, but
No, Brown didn't have a plasma. Brown didn't even have a shell at that point.
Oh well, yeah. So
I just had the homing missile.
So in which case,
which I wouldn't have been able to fire, because I think I can't remember which people had locks.
Oh, if you did, yeah.
I spent greens, and I can't remember if Brown had one from earlier.
Fair. So the likelihood is Wedge survives that round.
Yes. I mean, unless you blank out on the range 2 shot, but you know what? That's something we can't predict.
Well, no, exactly. Professor, odds are, if I'd had that focus, Wedge doesn't die that round. I mean, odds are.
But the thing is, like, yes, I've suddenly caught up. I've suddenly cleared out Sean's ships, but I have 4 ships versus a full health Falcon. One gunship's pretty bleeding out. The other gunship's in a decent spot but doing okay. And then the bombers aren't really in a position to capitalize on Han's current location, and nor do they really have the damage tools to deal with him.
Yeah.
I believe I still have a plasma torp, but then I'm relying on my range 2, like basically 2 dice guns.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that plasma torp wipes out his shields, but
yeah, it's a good plasma torp, but like you've got
8 health. But yeah, exactly. I was at this point with 22 minutes left.
Yeah.
I wasn't worried about Han dying.
Yeah.
What I was worried about was you dispersing to the winds, picking up a load of crates.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I thought about that as an option, but I didn't think I could do it quick enough and prevent you from just murdering my ships. So I was like, I have to just kill Han.
Fair.
Because where the positions are, like, I can currently pick up 1, 2 this round. Possibly, like, I'm looking at, there's like the one behind the debris that DGS 047 is looking at, but I don't think I can get close enough.
If you pick up 2, if you pick up 2 this round and 1 the next round without dying, that wins.
Yeah, it's true. I just didn't think that now that Han had like a free board, that I would be able to do that without dying.
I mean, that's fair. So we roll off, and
maybe I should have gone for that.
I am first player. I think personally it's the right call, because if you disperse, then I'm not double tapping, or it's unlikely.
True. So DGS 047 just hard turns towards Han, basically trying to bump you again if you've done another 2 banks. I know you're stressed, and if I can just keep you bumped, and because this is my 2 health ship, I'm hoping I can survive a range 0 shot. Like, it's not particularly likely, but I'm more likely to survive a range 0 shot than a range 2 or 1.
Yeah.
So I go for the bump of that, and then basically my bombers all turn into Han, just trying to line up the shots. The tub goes onto the debris, target locks Han. The Bractoid 2 hards and calculates.
Sabine does a 1 hard to face into the center again, and takes a focus.
And then DGS 286 does a 2 hard side slip. I believe I put it into the right, so I go left. So I'm currently facing the opposite way of Han. But if you have bumped on 047 like I'm hoping, I'll still have a range 1 shot.
And then Han does a 2 bank, which does bump. He takes the double focus. I'm not range 1 of an objective, so no Han rerolls. But I believe I do the range 2 obstructed into the green just for the extra dice. I roll hit, focus, blank, so I spend 1 focus for 3 hits.
I roll triple blank, so I take 3 on the Technetium Bomber.
And then I believe I range 1 into DGS 286. I roll the same result, so I spend my other focus for 3 hits.
I roll a focus, so I spend my calculate, and I take 2 onto DGS 286. So 286 is on 3 health now. He then uses his ability to steal the calculate from 047, and I shoot range 1 into Han. I roll 3 blanks. There's a lock, so I reroll 1 dice into a hit.
I roll a focus, so I take a shield.
DGS 047, range 0 shot into Han. I roll hit blank.
I roll an evade.
But I get to acquire a lock on you, and you are in my bullseye, so I put a strain on you, which leads quite nicely into the Plasma Torp I now fire into hand. I roll hit, crit, blank. I reroll the blank into a hit, and I strip all the shields from hand.
Strip all the shields.
And then I have a range 2 energy shell, I believe this is. Oh no, this is just remember range. No, the other guy had the shell. This is just a range 2 shot into hand, and I roll 2 hits.
And they go through. So, 13 health, but you've just taken away 8 of them. Sorry, 7 of them.
That is true.
Oh,
yeah, no. I was confident I could get at least one turn of good shooting, because if I'd managed to get the block with 047, I didn't think you could kill 2 of my ships.
Yeah.
But now I have a 2 health ship, a 3 health ship, and a 2 health ship, so it's every chance I lose 2 ships with your double tap.
Yeah.
Which is probably why I should have dispersed and gone for the objectives. At the time, I just didn't think I would make it.
That's fair. I scored a point for Sabine's crate there. So we're currently sitting at 12-15 in your favour, with 14 minutes left. And we roll off for first player, and it's back to you.
Yeah, so DGS 047 side slips to the left, so I go right, and I just 2-bang in front of Han again, trying to do the same thing. And I think we then realised that...
No, this is me being an idiot, don't worry.
Yeah, you thought Wedge was dropping a crate, and you actually pick up the crate that's on Sabine.
Yeah, it's like shifted over, I think, so it was under Wedge, and we thought you'd missed it, and then it's like, no, that's Sabine's crate, so take that one back, because there are clearly 4 on the table. And you take a calculate?
Yep, and then the hyena, back to the prototype, does a 3 straight and calculates, and this was a dumb mistake. I believe this is the dumb one. Because I have now presented another thing for you to bump into, and if you bump into the hyena instead of the gunship, you're going to have a range 1 shot into the gunship, and I don't like that because I will die. Then my Technium bomber does a 2 straight off the debris, and I pick up the crate in front of me. And DGS 286 does a 2 hard to the right, and I believe just bumps into Han.
And you take the red calculate.
I take a red calculate.
Sabine does a 5 straight towards the centre, because I do actually need to present a threat.
Yeah.
And then Han does a 2-bang, which does bump. It does bump into the Techno-Union bomber. I mean, you say it's a mistake, but...
I mean, I guess there was no way to avoid it, right?
No, like, that angle I was going through anyway. Like, I was going to park in front of the debris, and I full knew well that, dialing the manoeuvre in, which is why I wasn't expecting a block. But it does leave me with the gunships at range 1. I take the red double focus. I check for an obstacle at range 1, which I have. And then I go range 1 into one of the gunships. I roll 3 focuses and a blank, so I just spend the focus. I'm guessing this is DGS 047 because you're on... because you were on 2, so I only needed 3.
Yeah, so I roll a blank, and 047 is dead.
I then go range 1 into DGS 286. Oh, it's this, isn't it? So I roll hit, focus, blank. And I'm like, I need 3 hits. So it's like, I can spend the focus and hope you don't roll paint. I can re-roll everything and hope I get 4 paint, which would guarantee it. I think I opt to spend the focus... Yeah.
And I roll a blank. So 286 is dead. So bam, my gunships are gone, and it's now 18-15 in your favour. I have a range 0 shot into Han, and I roll focus blank. 19-16, and at this point we haven't realised it, but you'd forgotten to add a point on for Sabine's crate.
Yes, turn 5.
So Sean has already won. We just haven't realised it yet. And I think we play out the final turn, but I think we both know you've won, right? Unless literal magic.
Yeah, the only way that I lose this is if Han dies now,
and that's not likely. So, my only way to do this is because I think I still have a chance. Is that I just need to hope that for some reason you come in fast with Sabine. So I 2 Talon the Bactoid prototype, and I'm just hoping for a miraculous crit fish at this point. And I believe that is a 1 hard with the Techno Union bomber just behind Han, just to try and hide from the arc because you're in battleship mode. So maybe I can hide from your side to side arc.
I 1 hard with Sabine because I don't need to rush in and try and plink things off anymore. And I take a focus because I think if I do have a shot, it is range 3 obstructed. I do a 2 bank left with Han because basically I'm going to go stick myself as far in the corner as possible in case you're coming after me. It does bump into your tub. And I take the red double focus because I'm taking 2 shots, but one of them is range 0. I can re-roll my evade dice. The likelihood of you getting 6 damage through is negligible, I'd say.
Unlikely, but possible. So we go for it.
So I have.
You shoot my. This is the.
I shoot. I shoot the
buzz
the buzz droids. I spend a focus for 2 hits and kill the buzz droids.
So I have a range 2 shot into Han. I think honestly spending the focus for the buzz droids is probably a mistake because imagine if this had gone badly.
Yes, but also I feel it's like one of those. All right, fine. If I'd lost the game because of it, fine. It's not something you'd ever do in a competitive thing.
So I believe I roll focus crit. I spend my calculator for hit crit.
I roll a focus. I spend the focus. So I just take a fuel leak.
And then I have range 0 into Han,
which I'm fine with.
I need crit basically.
Yeah, you need crit, and then you need it to be like direct, or fuel leak direct. So I'm reasonably confident. I'm fine.
But I roll focus blank, so it doesn't even matter.
Then I score a point, and then I think in a minute we realise I missed another point. So it ends up 21-17.
But realistically, it was 2016, right? Because you won, effectively you won last round.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, there's us looking at it going, hang on, she had a crate every turn. I can't have not scored a point. And we chat about it.
It's interesting because my takeaway from this game is actually, I think I would have preferred the thread tracers rather than the probe droids. Because whilst the probe droids let me set up the unstoppable locks, the thread tracers let me shoot what's in front of me, regardless of what happens.
It gives you a better pick. It nullifies the higher initiative advantage.
And for anyone who's thinking, oh, but what if you miss? Well, then the Bactoid was probably missing anyway, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're throwing the same amount of dice you would have thrown with any of your other munitions, so...
Yeah, so if the thread tracer misses, fine. Then because my other option with the Bactoid was if I fired an energy shell, and then if the thread tracer is going to miss, then the shell would have missed as well.
Yeah.
And the upside is all of a sudden everyone has a much better shot.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think that's what this list needs. It just needs to be able to whack into someone and just remove them from the board.
Yeah, definitely.
But I'm gonna be trying out another list at Tin Squadron. I think is what I'm gonna be going with. Sean, you know what list I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
It's gonna be a fun one. You must admit it'd be fun.
I mean, it'll be fun for everyone who's not flying Whispers.
True. Actually, well, do you know the funny thing is, I don't think I have enough energy shells.
Oh well, that's a shame, isn't it?
Yeah. I guess one of my ships will have to not have energy shells.
I mean, I'll make you a deal. I'll give you one of my energy shell cards on the condition that if we meet at the Welsh Open, you just concede.
No, I'll just have to make do.
No sportsmanship.
No, just no collusion.
Fair. Well, on that note, guys, we'll wrap it up for this week. We'll be back next week to let you know how we got on.
Yeah, I'm. When are they uploading this? Are you uploading this at the normal time?
No. So I can't. Normal time is Sunday, and we're not getting back until stupid o'clock Sunday evening. So I will upload this Friday morning.
All right. So if you hear this, we'll be probably travelling up.
Yeah. If any of you are coming, we look forward to seeing you. And we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah. See, cha-ta.